Welcome back, everybody. So here is a look at the path for the Stars and Stripes. The US will take on Australia, Paraguay, and then the UEFA winner of Path C. Let's welcome in Charlie Davies from Washington, D.C. from the draw. Chuck, what do you think of this?
This is, of course, no disrespect to the other nations within the U.S.'s group, but this is a dream scenario. Are we kidding? When I saw Australia, I said, okay, it's meant to be. It is meant to be. Paraguay, of course, they're a strong South American opponent, but beatable. Mm-hmm. We should win this group. So I'd say from a U.S. standpoint, it's a pretty good draw.
Charlie, before the show got on, we spoke about how, well, I thought maybe having too easy a group like this, where the expectation rises now, could actually play a problem in the sense that now you don't only just have to win, you have to perform and be on a level. Do you think this is going to be too easy now?
No, there's no easy group in a World Cup. There's no easy
no
path.
Disrespect, it's easy.
Yeah, but we're talking about a World Cup. Every game's going to be at a high level. Every game's going to meet the intensity. You're not going to come in going, oh, this is going to be too easy for us. You still have to take care of business. Now, that being said, you're not playing a Spain or a France or an England, or a Morocco or a Colombia, which they could have played, or Norway. Mm-hmm. So in that respect, you're saying, hey, there's no better pathway to get to where we want to go. It's right in front of us. Now you're telling me we beat a third-place team if you finish top of the group, which that should be the expectation. Then you beat that. Then you're talking about potentially playing a Belgium to get into a quarterfinal. That's very doable. Of course, Belgium is a strong team, but against the teams that you possibly could get in pot one, give me Belgium. And so then you're talking about, hey, it's right there in front of you to do something that's never been done before, and you're not having to take on the likes of a Spain or an Argentina, and France, and in England. So I think from that standpoint, again, it is a dream scenario.
The World Cup for the U.S., Chuck, is on the West Coast. Let me give you the path to the final for the United States as you believe. Ready? LA, Seattle, LA, group stage. If the U.S. finishes first in their group, their first game out of the gates in the knockout stage is in the San Francisco Bay Area. That's the round of 32. They win that game, they next go to Seattle to play round of 16. If they win that round of 16 game, then they play in LA once again. Then the semifinal would be in Dallas and the final in New York, New Jersey.
I'll say, so therefore, in order for me to see the U.S. on the East Coast, they got to get to the final at MetLife. Okay, for me, again, just being here, taking it all in, and having hopes that the U.S. could get a favorable draw, phenomenal. Now, you got to take it match by match. We're talking about knockout rounds. I don't think anyone doubts the U.S. is going to get to the knockout rounds with this group. Of course, there's no handouts, there's no freebies. But given this scenario, given that they've hired Mauricio Pochettino and they spent all this money, given that you have players who are playing considerable minutes, making impact plays in Europe in Champions League, you would expect them to get to that match against Belgium at the very minimum, right? Now, we're talking about the expectations placed on this team and Mauricio Pochettino. You hire a Mauricio Pochettino to beat a Belgium with this group of players. So that's where I'm at right now.
I love it, Chuck. Stay with us. We'll be back with you shortly. Let's welcome in Tony Meola and see... Oh, you're going to stay with us, Chuck. Let's welcome in Tony and see what Tony thinks. Tony, are you as happy as Charlie? You played in 3 World Cups for the US men's national team. Are you on cloud 9 too with the straw?
Tony, I don't believe we can hear you, mate.
Tony's on mute. That's a fine for Tony.
Yeah, you know what? Because Tony always mutes himself.
I don't control anything here, Chaz. I'm just sitting in my house, just putting a tie on and getting ready to see this great World Cup draw. But this for me is the start of the World Cup, right? This is when you can really kind of zone in. I know teams got to go through qualifying. We didn't have to do that, right? And we've been sort of projecting, oh, we're going to, hopefully we play this team, hopefully we play that team, or we don't play this team. Look, we know now. Now you can focus. Of course, we got to wait for that last bit of qualifying to happen to get that third team in. But as far as being excited about this draw, there's no doubt about it. And Charlie said it, you don't want to show disrespect to any team. But truth be told, most teams' World Cups, when you're not Spain and when you're not Argentina, are pretty much made at the draw, right? And I think Mauricio Pochettino, he's not going to tell you, but he's going to go back and go, okay, I think this is a very winnable group as it stands right now. But I will say this. A few months ago, the U.S. did play Turkey, and I know we're in a different position, so let's not discount those European teams like that just yet, right? Very talented sides, but as far as if you would have taken this draw before this whole thing happened to you, there's no doubt about it, you would have signed up for this.
Yeah, Tony, 100% on that regard. My question to Chuck earlier, which he kind of diverted and talked about everything else, was if now, as a US national team and now in media, we're all going to start to get excited for what this could look like, does that add more pressure on the players? Because now you're starting to not only have to win these games, you're going to have to look at it from a performance standpoint as well. Do you think that's a fair question or not?
Well, yeah, it's always a fair question, right, to ask what kind of pressure. Keep in mind, one of the host nations, right? The host nations are always expected to get to the next round. They're always expected to be competitive in the competition. And this particular team, Troy, quite honestly, over the last year, outside of the last 2 months, has not impressed under Mauricio Pochettino. But we are starting to see the light of day with what Mauricio Pochettino's wanted to do with this group, what he wanted to establish. I think I heard Charlie say a little bit earlier something to the effect that it was too easy for some guys, right? It was they thought their positions were set, and now you've got guys that are pushing guys, and we all know, right? Every one of us has been around a dressing room. It's easy when there's no one behind you pushing you, right? But now you're getting ready for a World Cup, and having been part of this 3 times with the U.S. team, and you know the intensity that you have to bring. See, when I played in 90 and 94, and I hate, these guys will tell you, I hate talking about my career. Like, we needed this. We needed the national team. We needed to be successful at the World Cup. Truth be told, if Christian Pulisic and this group doesn't get it done at the World Cup, they go back to their club team and everything is fine. Yeah, it'll hurt them a little bit, but it doesn't change their life. For us, it changed our lives. Right. And I think I'm hoping that these guys will understand the magnitude of what it's going to look like 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road in U.S. soccer through this World Cup, because they have an opportunity to do something in America that nobody has ever done. And I know someone's going to ask me, OK, what's a success at the World Cup? I said this in 2002 after the World Cup. I said, now some teams got to get to the semifinal of the World Cup. And this team, in the manner that they're going right now, they're talented enough to do it. And of course, we know the World Cup, it's 1 month where everybody's got to come together and things have to go your way. And you got to get a break here or there if you're the U.S. We all understand that. But they're talented enough to do it. Let's hope that in the end, we get as much out of this group as we possibly can.
Tony, the odds say that Turkey is going to be the 4th team in that group. How beneficial is it to the U.S. that these are 3 teams they played recently and played well against?
Well, the Turkey A team is, I forget the result. We took a little bit of a beating against that team, right? And that's why I said at the beginning, it's not something that we should take lightly. Like these European teams, the one thing we talked about, this expanded World Cup, 48 teams were going to have, there was going to be some rollovers. CONCACAF teams don't really benefit from that, right? Because you're getting a European team, you're getting a South American team. You can't get one of the other 3 that are qualifying out of CONCACAF. So there isn't a lot of breaks there. But again, when I look at this group, Paraguay finished 6th in qualifying, 39th ranked team in the world. I don't know how much that means, but of course, the 6th in the group means something, right? Australia, is it going to be easy? No, very organized team. We know that all the time, tough to break down. Actually, the type of team that the U.S. has struggled right against in the recent past. And then if we think it's Turkey, I think they will be the most talented team in this group should they qualify. They are the favorites. But hey, Romania, look, one of our opponents in 1994, we know how many good players they've produced over the years. So maybe we don't count them out. But we're going to get a European team that's not going to be easy.
Question for both of you guys. Again, optimism's high. I feel like I'm bringing the vibe down. I apologise. Is there an area of weakness that you guys are concerned about going in this with the US team at this moment in time?
Well, Troy, I think it's important that you bring balance to this show.
Thank you.
You can't be all pies in the sky and think that it's made for us to get to a semifinal and it's going to be easy peasy. But in saying that, this team I believe in. I think Mauricio Pochettino is exactly what they needed to raise their level, because I think we probably would have seen more of the same of what we saw in 2022 if another current American coach was to take over this group. They needed somebody that didn't care where they played or who they were. Mauricio Pochettino, having coached Messi and Mbappe, can look at anybody, including Christian Pulisic, and say, I don't care who you are. It's what are you going to bring for me now, and what are you going to do for this team moving forward? So now getting the most out of everybody and putting the guys in the right places, I honestly believe that they can do it. They can move the needle and make this incredible run. This is a group that has, I think it's almost like they're going to be challenged, but not to the point where it can't be. They can't do the impossible. So I think from that standpoint, this is a group that that can dream.
Yeah, Troy, to your question, look, none of this is going to be easy. Absolutely not. This is not going to be easy. But you ask for an expectation. If we think for a minute that this is the best U.S. team we've had, and I'm not a big golden generation guy. I hate the term. I don't use it because I still think you got to do something. If they get to the semifinal of the World Cup, this will be the golden generation. They haven't gotten there yet for me. But I look back in 2002, and I look what we did in that World Cup. And the expectation after that World Cup is that we were going to build from that World Cup. We were going to get better from that World Cup where we get to a quarterfinal. And quite honestly, if the soccer gods were fair, I mean, we took it to Germany for 90 minutes and lost 1-0 somehow in that game. Their goalkeeper stood on their head. We didn't get a break, and that's the way the World Cup goes. Maybe this time around we get the break that we're looking for, and we do get to a semifinal. But make no mistake about it, you're absolutely right. This is not going to be easy. But if you ask me for an expectation of this team, and especially after I see the draw today, I think they need to get to a semifinal.
So true. The U.S. men's national team have to be happy.
Troy, I was going to say, Troy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just in terms of weaknesses within the team, right? Is there a place that they can be strengthened or at least be a little bit more solidified? I look at the back line, so it's a back three.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you have the flexibility with the wing backs, and there's depth. When you have Timothy Weah, who can play on both sides. You have Weston McKennie, who can play on both sides. Serginho Dest, Anthony Robinson, we're hoping he gets back and he's healthy, ready to go come May and June. But Max Arfson and Alex Freeman, there's a number of players that, as of late, because of Mauricio Pochettino and these players that need a World Cup to do well, to kind of excel and fulfill their potential, whereas maybe Serginho Dest, if he doesn't play in this World Cup, if he doesn't do well, it doesn't really do anything for him, like Tony said. But for Freeman and for an Arfson, this could launch their career into a new stratosphere. But ultimately, I think that back three, because Chris Richards is going to be the rock.
Yeah.
Is Tim Ream going to be the same Tim Ream 6 months from now? We know his lack of pace. He never really had pace to begin with, but it was all his IQ and his ball distribution. He's comfortable on the ball, but is he going to be ready to go come June? That's a big question. And then on the right side, is it Miles Robinson? Is it Alex Freeman? Is it Mark McKenzie? So I think the back line for me is probably the weakest part, because you really don't have an idea of who the strongest three are together. And then the goalkeeper position, is it still Matt Freese? Does Matt Turner come back into the picture if he's having standout performances for the New England Revolution? But after those two goalkeepers, I think there's a massive drop-off. So ultimately, I think if we're looking down the spine of the team, the back line and the goalkeeper position are probably the two weakest if you're looking at the team as a whole.